All right, so in this edition of Arc of War gear sets, we're going to go over the exclusive gears per commander that have been created thus far. Let's take a look. To start it off, we are going to just kind of go in the order that they have them here in the handbook, so to speak. It's going to be for LEX Ire exclusive. Lucky Befalls. When the LE Ire is equipped with this equipment, the chance of triggering Lucky Rabbit's Foot is increased to 50%. Now, why would that be important? Let's take a look. The Lucky Rabbit's Foot is only a 20% trigger rate, so it does boost the chance of that triggering. Until the next action, the initiator will be blessed. If damage received exceeds current total HP, it will be reduced by 1.6% at level 1. So, having this on her is probably a very beneficial thing if you are maining her, and the reason for is that damage reduction skill, or boosting your damage reduction essentially. Because you go from 20% to 70% trigger rate. That's how I read it. I don't have this one to show you with it on her, so the way I read it, I assume it goes from 20% to 70%. Battered Electric Baton, it's an exclusive for Monk. When Monk is equipped with this equipment, exercising Cudgel can deal an additional damage equal to 20% of the target's lost HP. Now, with this one, we'll take a look at that commander as well. Exercising Cudgel has an 80% chance to trigger. If the attack hits, the target deals 75% normal attack damage to the enemies adjacent to the target, and that's based on level 30. So adjacent would mean if it's in if you're hitting slot 1, you're going to hit slot 5 with additional damage. All right, so that's a good booster to have when it comes to Monk. A lot of us thought that Monk was going to be kind of the Hancock killer. He does well, but not as well as we would have wanted him to do. But having the additional 20% there can make a difference. It doesn't stack. You only need one. So just keep that in mind when it comes to these weapons. You only need one. Two of them, if you put two of them on there, you're just doing it for the additional penetration or accuracy. The exclusive part is only going to be triggered by one of them. Sickle of Death is for Soul Reaver General exclusive. This one I've shown in past videos on how Soul Reaver can be used as a utility comm, because if you have the Sickle of Death on him, when this equipment and there are no soldiers in the enemy's second row, Dissection will deal damage to the commander. What that means is if they only have commanders in the first row and they have nothing in the second row, or you eventually kill off the second row, because that's what Dissection does, it attacks the second row. You do direct damage to the arc HP. So say you got to go first, say they only have, or they're trying to one slot bust, Dissection goes off, you have Sickle of Death, you have enough troops there, you're going to attack the arc directly, to where even if you don't necessarily do any damage to the troops in front of you, you're going to hit and get rid of the commander out of, or you're gonna win. You're gonna attack directly and win. This is good for many times. I've used this in Galactic Campaign or Cassitan when you're trying to remove certain individuals from the attack queue. That's where this comes into play, because you can send a march of T1. Whether you lose a T1 and nothing triggers, oh well, you just keep trying and trying and trying until Dissection triggers and you get that hit on the commander itself, essentially, and knock him out. And it doesn't matter if you only killed one of their troops or if you killed none of their troops. The point is you're going to attack it directly and more than likely get rid of that commander out of the fort queue. Soul Cutter. Mechanical Puppet exclusive. This equipment, the skill Puppet Blade will have both attack effects, which gives you true damage and if I remember correctly. So we're gonna take a look. So Puppet Blade gives a substitute if you have a substitute puppet exists. 1% of the attack damage is not affected by damage reduction effects. When substitute puppet does not exist, this time the attack will ignore HP. So when you have his special weapon, it doesn't matter if you have a substitute puppet or not. You're gonna ignore damage reduction and HP at the same time. Very important. This one, especially when it comes to how Broken Fortress comes into play. Mechanical Puppet, I believe, is an answer to that. We've gone over Quantum Module before in the SWE. What it does is it boosts the Quantum Blast. Energy storage device is exclusive to YodaDaWise. When YodaDaWise is equipped with this, the skill Power Surge will keep 25% of energy stacks after casting. So the way YodaDaWise works is that it uses whatever buffs have been stacked on and reverts it into energy attack. So what happens is with this jewelry set on him, it retains some of those buffing skills, so that way the next time around you don't have to wait as much for it to or stack as much or to get a better effect. I have been told a few times that people who use YodaDaWise do not use this, as it doesn't function in the way that it should, or it's not as beneficial in terms of penetration defense as it should, and they use other jewelry set or headpieces for YodaDaWise. Peakley, for example, does not use this on his set. So I've just been told that this one doesn't really work very well with it, or it doesn't benefit as much as the other ones do for it. So then we move on to Nanobox Star Crusher exclusive. Increases nanobombs detonation count to 5 times. I think I've only seen one person in the recent months that actually uses Star Crusher. I don't know how effective this one is. I don't know how beneficial it is, because Star Crusher was kind of like one of those commanders that they threw out there, and it wasn't really a game changer. Queen Scepter, a Mary exclusive. Each cast of counterattack increases her skill. Basically, her skill increase or trigger rate increases by 20%, or that's the way I read it. Mary kind of became relevant again with that counterattack, and there's lots of people that have been trying to make her relevant again. Whether or not it's even worth getting the Queen Scepter, I'll leave that up to you. But if you're not going to use Mary, don't even worry about it. Moving along, we go to Brainstorm. Cassius exclusive. Damage reduction effects of Pivot Soul Chain won't be cleared. Again, I don't see a lot of people using Cassius. He looked like to be a really potentially good commander, and it's more or less his skills are more beneficial elsewhere on other comms than he is on the commander itself. The M110 is a Commissar exclusive. All allies get +% crit damage and +% skill trigger chance for each type of soldier you have. So this kind of plays into his true damage portion of his skill. So when you have more than one T12 type, the better this is going to create crit skill trigger rate for those. From what I've been told by a few of my guildmates who have been maining Commissar, that this weapon is not necessarily beneficial, and that they don't use it. They have it, they don't use it. They'd rather build him with other penetration gear sets, weapons, and they just didn't feel like this really gave them any kind of edge, so to speak. Mechanical Arms is for Craig. Iron Fist Craig inflicts 3 feral marks on the enemies at the start of the battle. Whether or not this is going to be a game changer, I'm not quite sure, because those feral marks aren't necessarily what you're using him for. It's his other skill that you're using him for. So not quite sure if this is worth it or not. The secondary gun is for Ira. They made it fairly expensive to get, so I chose not to. Matrix firing will attack units in the second row first. So instead of doing, if you miss and hitting the first row, you're going to hit the second row. Ideally, I don't see how this is beneficial, to be honest with you. It's not like the Death Scythe where you attack the commander directly if there's no second row, so I'm not quite sure how beneficial this is. Especially, yeah, I just don't see it being that beneficial, to be honest. Again, another worthless weapon that I don't see spending the money on. So that kind of wraps up the exclusive gears for this video. If you have some personal experience with some of the gear set or the exclusive gears, and you think that I may not have touched into as much as I should have, please leave a comment. Share with me and everybody what your opinion is on the gear. Again, these are just more or less to give you my opinion on my research and experiences with those gears, and sometimes they're not accurate, and the wording for these are not always the greatest, so it really becomes down to those that have it and use the commander when it comes down to really knowing how that gear is going to be beneficial or just a waste. So we're almost done here. Keep watching. Next video comes soon. Till next time.